Welcome to Attican Plays Railway Empire. All right, hi, this is Attican and welcome to a new series. We're going to look at the new DLC that has just come out called Down Under, which is naturally enough set in Australia. You can see our little kangaroo here and our different train that we're going to eventually get to. And we have a new scenario to play, so that's what we're going to do is take a look at this one called Down Under. And it's different for me because it's one of those 100-year ones. I don't know how many of those I've played, if any. It's considered hard, I believe it, and it's in the very early days of the settling of the colony of Australia, if you will. So we're going to start with decent money in Melbourne, way down here on the southeast corner of Australia. You can see tons and tons of towns on this map. I don't think they actually exist yet. There's some new functicality that we're going to get to here. I've had a peek at this just to get a handle on what's going on.
Uniform
and we are going to, we could use a lady, she's the fallback.
Meticulous planning.
Roger would be good for this one as well, but we're going to go with the engineer.
Ah, hello. How did you end up here? What was that? Railroads? Here in the middle of nowhere? You must have suffered a heat stroke. Well, since you're here, there are actually a few things a railroad might prove helpful with. But heed my warnings and don't come running to me if you fail.
All right, so we have to connect a couple cities, 3 businesses, and grow our towns a little bit. So our population connected to our network. So the interesting thing is we only have 2 cities, so it's pretty obvious which ones we're going to connect. Melbourne, our headquarters, and Ballarat. And then this is something worth noting. We only have 3 rural industries. We have seafood down here. That's a new resource. Grain and wood or logs. And you see these other ones up here, and it's using the territory idea where you can see these are of the red lines, means we can't access those yet. We're going to have to buy our way or work our way into having access to these other territories. So it's our initial one. We only have the 2 cities, 3 rural stations. The reason I say only 3 is if you notice carefully, these are all grayed out. They really don't, we can't build there. We can't actually access those. See, if I try to put a station to connect to any of them, it just stays red. You can never connect. This one, on the other hand, we can connect to, and this one down here, and the logs way up here. So that's all we got to work with. So it's pretty obvious which 3 industries we're going to connect to our network, and it's pretty obvious which 2 towns. Now, the key thing now we want to decide is how we're going to do it. So the first thing, by the way, we're in 1830, so we don't have the special cars. So a passenger mail line only is not going to be worth as much to us early on. But we are going to start with one just the same. We're going to put in a station in Melbourne and a station down here in Ballarat. And I don't know how you're supposed to say that. On this channel we say it Ballarat, so there it is. All right. So we're going to build a direct line between those 2.
Since the first settlements were founded just over 40 years ago,
and we'll make this.
Changed here.
Pardon
Do you
me.
really think that a few tracks will change anything?
We're going to make this a passenger mail line, and you'll see why I'm departing from my usual 1830s approach here in just a moment. So. We'll run, I'm being lazy, I'm running them all out of the same way. We'll run 4 trains. Okay, so what we're going to do here is set up, to start with, a 2-city cluster with the intent of expanding it hopefully later on after we see the new functionality. So we're going to put a big warehouse and connect it right here to Ballarat. And we're going to use kind of our Johnny Hughes 3-city cluster technique, but we only have 2 sides of it right now. So or 2/3 of it. So what we're going to do that's different here is put the beer and the meat in here in our warehouse. something I don't typically do in a 3-city cluster. But we're going to have all 5 of those things. The 3 resources, beer and meat. And then we're going to set up our lines to run in to the warehouse. And because of these big mountains, we need to go around these mountains, or the track is going to cost a fortune, and these poor little old 1830 trains will never make it. So we're going to have to stay out in the flatlands, even if it means a longer trip, distance-wise. Because it'll actually be a shorter trip, elapsed time, and cheaper track. Okay. We'll start running. And we're going to max all of these. And since we're the dock, we're going to put maintenance on everything right off the bat, so we don't run into any problems with that later on. And the nice thing about this dock is because there's zero cost, you can scoot your maintenance out into the field a little bit too, and spread the pain so that it's not all happening in your cities and your warehouses. And we want to hook up our logs. We'll just plug those into our, and notice, see if we go up in here, we actually can't build up in there. Which is weird. It's part of our territory, but we can't build there. And this is the beauty of dock, is you can run these trains at so little cost. Now we're about out of money, so let's go get some more. And we'll get our final available resource. Now keep in mind too, we want to be growing our cities, but we don't have meat. We can't get into any cattle. So that meat industry in Ballarat is basically worthless because they can't get cattle. And by the way, in this one I noticed,
there aren't many passengers or commodities to transport, but you still seem determined.
Unlike others, we don't have a honeymoon period. There's no stored up meat in that meat industry to ship, so we're not getting initial meat shipments. Okay, one last thing now. As we start to get goods into our warehouse, we want to start using them. Now, Ballarat's already getting them as soon as they show up. We want to set it up so that Melbourne is also getting goods. All right, so as soon as some stuff shows up there, we'll start running trains from the warehouse over to Melbourne. Oh, good, a surveyor. Don't really care where the engineer goes. We'll just hire him and put him out here. All right, cheaper routes, very good. Good deal there. We've got a surveyor who makes our lines cheaper. Did I forget signals over here? No. Okay, we can start running. We'll run 4 trains. And then I'm going to set up 2 additional trains for this one because there's the beer industry down there in Melbourne. We want to make sure that we have a couple of trains that are kind of dedicated to wheat or grain. Try to keep that beer production up. And actually, well, that's okay. Start to say these should be freight only, but they will be freight only because they're just going to a warehouse. Now, how are we looking? We need to grow. And see, we're actually losing ground right now. Melbourne is losing some ground. Conductors, we'll put conductors on our passenger mail line. Everybody else will just kind of put them wherever they fall. And I would be expanding, building more stuff, but we just don't. What can you do? There's no place to expand to. Forgot to put maintenance out there. Ah, shoot. I just goofed. I did not mean to do that. I meant to be grabbing this line right here, putting a couple more trains on that. And then this one here, we're not keeping up with it either. We'll put a couple more trains on it. We've got the John Hancock, so let's just upgrade everything to the Hancock. And we've got Ballarat growing and Melbourne declining. But here comes some stuff for Melbourne, so it should start looking better here soon enough. You can see Ballarat's just eating up just about everything as fast as we can bring it in. But we've got more trains. We've got plenty of trains coming down here with logs and grain. And we're shipping out the seafood as fast as they can make it. So we're doing all we can. Oh, and by the way, you know me. I'm going to, of course, try my best there. Melbourne's at least neutralized now, and that's all it kind of took. So now we've hit our task pretty quickly. But what I was about to say is, I will listen to him.
Existing towns that we may try to establish a new settlement. Since the credit is yours to a large extent, you also deserve the honour to decide on the new location for the settlement.
All right, so we've got this new functionality up here, unlock settlements. So this is the new thing. So we're going to click this.
First of all, you should take a closer look at one of the possible settlement sites.
Now, you can't just put one any old place, but any of these green places, like here, 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 and these two up here, we can use. Now, what we want to do here is expand this into a 3-city cluster. And one of our key things here is when you start a settlement, we want to build it as quickly as we can into a town and have it start functioning like a city. So we're going to pick this guy right here.
Do you see the connected
Warrnambool.
businesses? They're not active yet, but that will
Warrnambool,
change as soon as a new town
and we
is
pick
built.
it, and that gives us 4 new tasks.
In order
So
for
now
the
we have to
settlement
move
to
some
become a
items
town,
into
your
that
help is required.
new
Firstly,
settlement to
select
make
the
it
new
into a
settlement.
town. So you have to
do
give
not
it an
treat
initial
this decision
setup,
lightly.
and it's beer,
Do not forget to
grain,
confirm your choice.
seafood, and wood. So what we can
Excellent.
do here, of
You
course,
established a new settlement. For the
is
moment,
put
there's
a,
nothing else to
put
do here.
a
Here,
station
you may check the
in
required
Warrnambool.
commodities. Only if you deliver all of them will the settlement become a town.
Hook it into our line here. Ah. And then what we want to do is start dragging stuff from here down there, from our warehouse. So we'll have 4 trains that are just grabbing stuff from this warehouse and taking it down here to establish our new city, our new town. And we can check its status here. And there we go. We got some beer. We got some logs. Some more logs.
The first commodities have arrived. Let's see if this is going to work. Except for the railroad connection, the settlers out here are completely on their own. In the past, many settlements had to be abandoned.
Okay, we got some seafood. We could buy that. With Doc, you just don't want to own industries. It costs a fortune to upgrade them. The idea would be buy it and speed it up so it's producing beer more quickly. Hopefully the owner of it will catch on and do that for us. We got a traffic jam here. What's going on? Have I goofed up on signals? Yes, I have. Oh, man. Shame, shame, shame. Now this train right here is full of seafood. We would love to just grab it and take it down here, and it doesn't work that way. If we try to reroute him down here, he'll lose his entire load. So we're just going to have to let it go ahead and get here and unload. Hopefully this guy will be right behind him and grab it. I think grab some of it. Now we could make a line, a dedicated line to take some seafood in there. We're just going to let it run, see how, and let the chips fall where they may. Take the John Bull and upgrade everybody to the John Bull. Good deal. Another conductor.
Perhaps the railroad line will make a difference after all.
Okay, we need 4
At least
seafood.
it's so much
Come on,
easier to
guys.
supply the new settlement.
There it is. Oh, that wasn't bad.
Not bad.
Okay,
With
now
the
we
new
have a town
The
here.
area is gaining importance, and the colonial government agreed to expand the territory. You may try to found some more settlements, but not much exciting stuff happens here anymore. I did warn you.
All right, so we now have new tasks. Tells us to gain access to Victoria East and to connect 8 cities to our network. So Warrnambool is going to just function like a regular town now. So we've established a town, and it's set up in a 3-city cluster with these 3. Now, it's a limited 3-city cluster. The beer and meat they can all get, and their basic goods. They can't go past that yet. But if we do get to the point where we have more resources and we can grow more industries, then we'll set up direct city-to-city lines to move those goods around. So our next job is to pick up this Victoria East, which I think is right here. Yes, it is. Costs us money to get it. We're going to pick up access to it. So we've passed that one. And connect 8 cities to your rail network. Now notice we don't have any permits available to start another settlement.
Gold!
We would set
They
one.
found gold in the area.
Oh, something's
This
changed.
changes
though.
everything.
Okay, they
First, a new
found
town has
gold.
to be established to exploit the deposits properly.
All right, and now we've got a whole new set of tasks. Establish Walhalla, do gold, and send gold to Melbourne. Now in Melbourne, there's a special warehouse that takes gold. And right here is that little shining beacon there is telling us that's where Walhalla is. So what they want us to do now is do a new settlement right there. But we have no permits, so we have to grow up. We have to grow up another 13,000 or so people in our cities. Now the good news is our little Warrnambool that we just started is going to grow like crazy because it's a tiny town and it's getting 99% of its goods, so it's doing great. The other thing we could do, we could put an industry. We don't want to put an industry. We're dock. Dock's not good for industries. And we even got a little beer now. Okay, good. So we should have no trouble keeping that one growing. Now, now here's the challenge. See, he can't grow because he can't get any meat. And he doesn't have meat. He doesn't have cattle, doesn't have meat. And he's needing sugar and other things up here. So we need to either get access to these, particularly that would be great, or just wait for our cities to grow. And where are we here? 1844. We're actually in pretty good shape. We did that first part, I think, pretty quickly. So let's get the Dunham and upgrade everybody to the Dunham. Now see all this no suitable freight? That's because Warrnambool, it's just packed. It's got everything it needs. And where to get meat? I wonder if it got the meat as a default when it first forms. I bet that's what happened. But anyway, there's no suitable freight on those because it doesn't need anything. It has no room in its warehouses. But as it uses this stuff, it'll create some room, and then these trains will bring it what it needs from the warehouse. So we should have. The problem again is we can only grow that city. We're stuck on 60 with that guy, And Melbourne's probably even more. Well, Melbourne's the same way at 60. We need sugar, we need clothing, well, he's got the yeast. And again, we have nothing we can do about that. There is no way to improve that. Possibly, if we bought the beer industry and expanded it, we could possibly put this over the hump. Man, expanding these 400, it'd be about 700,000 just to expand it. Buying it would be we'd need $1 million to do that. So let's just let old Warrnambool Bull grow. You notice, even though I do have maintenance on these stations, I am replacing the trains from time to time just to keep them, when it's cheap like that, just to keep them going, keep them fresh, if you will. Okay, a bunch of engineers and stokers and security guards. North America 23 and 25. No, the Dunham's better. I wonder if we could buy access to another region. Now, oh no, it won't let us. So I think we're locked out. We can't buy access anywhere, and we can't buy access to this. Or can we? No, not really. Nope, they're not letting us expand. We're just in hurry up and wait mode. We've unfortunately done everything we can do. So we've got plenty to keep these two neutral. That's a shame, man. If we could just get them 1% more. Oh, man. I'm going to buy that thing. Oh, my word. I really goofed there. I just bought that, and he'd already updated it, upgraded it to a level 2, and it didn't help. It's not helping. Oh, well. We can make profit from it, at least. Conductor. We're actually doing just fine. We've got a nice full warehouse here. And we're about 2,000 or 3,000 short. We're almost there. 1,300 more people, and we're ready to go. Look at this, we're up to 13.5. Our little Warden bull is growing nicely. And they're slowly consuming the meat that they had. I don't know if they're shipping it off, are they? There we go, we have a permit. All right, so we're going to go to Walhalla, establish Walhalla. That's a good place to stop. We have gotten through our initial tasks. Now what we have to do is the same thing with Walhalla. We have to establish it and feed it supplies just like we did Warrnambool in order to make it into a town. So that's our next task, and we'll take that up in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Railway Empire video. Thank you.